Hey, what's up, AMP? This is Snaps, your favorite daily college football show, live on AMP. Check it out. If you're listening somewhere else, it's probably the future. What up? Hope the future's going well. You can find us youtube.com/@volumesnaps. Hit the subscribe button, like it, and podcast as well. Just Google Snaps Podcast. I'm T-Bob Hebert. I'm joined by Aaron Murray, as always. It is Thursday. Aaron is boots on the ground in Athens. Aaron, what are you doing up in the old stomping grounds?
The old stomping grounds where I am the enemy now. I
Oh, well,
am
well,
in
we can
Athens.
dive into that.
Yeah. Uh, I am in Athens. I had to shoot something for you remember Jarvis Jones, defensive end for Georgia?
Yes, I actually do. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yeah. So he's getting inducted to the Ring of Honor in September. And
Hell
I
yeah.
was chosen as one of the few people to give some nice remarks about what an amazing athlete and human being Jarvis is to be used for the ceremony. So yeah. And then I was
Is
hoping to
he?
catch a little practice. He is actually an amazing human being.
Okay.
I
Love
will
to
I
hear
will
it.
attest to that. Yes, he was actually my roommate in the Army All American game in high school. It was before he committed,
Oh,
and I'm a shitty recruiter, I guess. Try to recruit Jarvis to Georgia because he's from the state of Georgia. Thought he'd come, and he ended up being a petite Trojan boy for a couple years. Got hurt, then found his way back home.
yeah. I tried to recruit Cam Hayward to LSU back in the day because we were
Mhm.
boys growing up and played football together, and I just ended up getting blackout drunk, and he went to Ohio State. So I feel you. I fucked up, dude. It would have been pretty badass if I'd had future NFL Hall of Famer Cam Hayward at
Mm.
LSU instead of Ohio State. I bet you he wish he would have gone too, though, because
Hell
he's
yeah.
he ended up starting on that 07 team for Ohio State that lost to the Tigers in the Natty. I did not start. I was on scout team, getting my ass wrecked by Glenn Dorsey every day. It was awesome. Um,
Wow. It was
yeah,
awesome getting your ass wrecked. That sounds
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Hey, there's no better way to learn than just getting dominated every single day.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do unless you just fold and quit. You're only going to get better.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, you going to go watch Georgia practice today? What's up?
No, 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 no. I am on the dark side, bro. I am
Oh no,
part of the um why is this eluding me when it comes to Star
the
Wars and
the media. Oh, the Empire.
the
Well, I mean, I
Empire?
guess
Yes.
they're the
Empire, the
Empire.
media, same damn thing. So I am not allowed to practice until I cover a Georgia football game, and then I can come back to practice.
The Empire doesn't really work as an analogy here because really Georgia
No.
has become the Empire. We're just more like some maybe like Outer Rim Company or something, a band of pirates. I just the bottom line is that the Empire doesn't need to bother with you or deal with you anymore. At this point, you're nothing but a nuisance. Yeah. Well, no,
I
no, no,
do.
no,
I do.
no, no,
Yeah,
no. So
100%.
no, the problem is no problem. You had it right the first time. You lost the thread in the latter half. He is the rat poison because he's constantly hyping them up. How's Kirby supposed to get guys to eat off the floor when Aaron Murray's out here talking about how Carson Beck's going to win the Heisman and George's going to
First
win a
off,
third
these
natty in
these
a row?
boys ain't eating off the floor. They got 5-star damn meals going on. I was tempted. I was walking around the facility, very tempted to see if I would even be allowed to eat in their cafeteria. And I was like going for a plate, and I saw people like staring at me awkwardly, like,
Yeah, it's
don't you
weird. You're a
fucking do it. Don't
32-year-old
you
man. You
fucking do
can't
it."
just go eat at a random school cafeteria.
It's not a school. It was the facility cafeteria. It's like their 5-star restaurant inside the facility. This
Oh,
wasn't like
wow, and they wouldn't
I
let
wasn't going to
you.
like the bottom of the dorm rooms and going to those cafeterias. Yes, that would be my wife would not appreciate that. This was
Wait,
in
so
the
I'm
front
confused.
here.
This is the first time any of this has ever happened to you?
What?
Like feeling a bit ostracized by the former
I
program
I
because you're now
think this is
media?
really the first time I've actually felt
Damn.
like maybe just I'm getting old. It's time to
Yeah.
move on. I can't just walk around the Butts-Mehre anymore
You're an old
like I
has-been,
used to
bro.
run the place.
These kids don't know you.
The
Uh,
kids love me. I
yeah,
get great
because you
relationship with the kids. I paid them
um,
a lot of money.
exactly, exactly. No, it's one of those depressing things. One thing, Coach Miles was not very good about it. If you didn't stay in the NFL, he didn't care. One thing that O did to gain a lot of traction earlier on, though, was welcoming all the former players, and that is something that Brian Kelly as well has continued. Is he's like super chill towards former players. But again, I don't know. I don't think he'd be like going up and eating the cafeteria and shit. but like you can go out to practice and go check it out. You know what else the problem is, Aaron? You're a TV media guy.
Yeah.
And generally, TV broadcast guys are very friendly to coaches and teams, and they're not hosting daily shows, or they're maybe getting off these hot takes or talking shit. And so everybody's cool with the TV guys. And so you're used to having TV guy access, where it's just like, oh, we're all just cutting up. We're doing the interviews on Friday, et cetera, et cetera. Welcome to the more radio man, everyday talk show side of the media equation
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It is a really I was thinking about this today because as I'm just driving around the campus depressed because I'm don't have the same kind of access that I used to.
Is
Uh,
depressed a synonym for horny?
that too. Um, but the walking the balance of obviously living in Georgia, wanting to still be a part of the program in some way
Yeah.
in order, having the ability to interact with the coaches and the players, but then also trying to do my job in the best way possible in times where you have to kind of like the AD kind of gave me some shit about some of the stuff I said today. I'm just like not like a mean way, but like so it's like walking that fine line is
It's
real difficult.
it's so well, I mean, look, I've thought about this a lot. First off, it's so insane to me some of the rabbit ears that these motherfuckers have.
I
Why is
know.
the AD Josh Brooks listening to what Snap says or
He
Sirius
fucking loves
XM says?
Snap. That's
Like,
why.
I'm saying, but like, okay, great, but then if you really love the show, then you know that it's all entertainment. Like, what my point is, I feel like when these coaches and shit get all salty or butthurt, like, guys, just fall back on the classic, a lion does not concern itself with the opinion of sheep. Like, get the fuck over it. Who cares? Go win. And that's the other part that pisses me off about this. You know what you do? You go win and nobody says anything. Like, if you
Uh-huh.
win, you're good to go. You want people to stop talking shit about you? Like people have tried everything they can to try to find attack angles on Georgia, and none of it's really stuck because they're just too damn good. Because they're
Too
just
damn good.
winning. So, like, when these coaches want to bitch about you being negative about them in one way or another, it's like, okay, well, you control that. Like, you control your own destiny. You go win games. It's a meritocracy. It's one of the few areas in this life that are. You win the games, ain't nobody gonna talk shit. But no, the media, it's weird. Media and the people you cover are there is an inherent friction there, an
Yep.
inherent antagonism, and it's awkward. I was good family friends with O, and so, like, when he got that job, it was a weird tightrope of a deal for a long time there. And it's one of the reasons why I've never really made any effort to get too close with any of the players or anything. Is I kind of want to keep everything in arm's distance.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to know the human beings that I'm talking about as much, just because, like you said, when it comes time to, and then look, you don't go out of your way to like talk shit. These are kids now; they're
Yeah.
getting paid. Maybe some of that starts to change in how we think about it, but like you keep it fact based or whatever, but still, it's just easy. Whatever. It's just weird. There's a
It
natural
is weird. It's
friction
just
there.
plain simple. There is a general friction with media,
Yeah.
regardless if you own every Georgia passing record out there or its first 4 years,
Yeah. Good
broken
thing you said
bones,
Georgia
torn
because it ain't going to
ligaments.
be SEC for much longer, thanks to the ninth ranked quarterback in the conference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping this fuels him to have an incredible year and then just leave, or he just can say, you know what, f Aaron, I'm going to come back another year and really demolish his damn records. Which then I'm going to be bitching about the fact
Yeah.
that he's a seventh year fucking guy that he gets to, more years than I
So
did. That's not
I'm going to
fair.
say that helps you if he actually comes back another year, because even if you don't end up with the records on the books, it is clearly an asterisk situation. Whereas if he captures the record in 4 years, then
Yeah,
we have a little bit
no,
more of
I'm
a
if
trouble.
if he gets it in 4 years, I'm all for it. Good for you, dude.
Okay.
If you go out there and throw 38 touchdowns this year, I think it's like
Who's
somewhere around
counting?
that number.
You know,
Yeah.
who's counting? Yeah.
If he throws 38 touchdowns, which will be the most of his career,
Yeah, yeah, who's counting again,
in an offense that's not the air raid, means you had a hell of a season. You're probably first or second team all SEC. Um, and Mississippi State's probably winning 9 games, 10 games at that point, then take my damn record. But if you come back for another year and you get 5 years to play college football to break a record, I do have a little bit of a beef with that.
So we and I agree, but I think most people will be on your side.
Yeah.
But I would say this, Aaron. So here are some numbers on, and this is not supposed to lead the show, but here we are. Mississippi State OC Kevin Barbet. Okay, this is who they hired post Mike Leach.
Yep.
And Kevin Barbet, according to Matrix Analytical, ranks number one in all of college football among active SBS OCs in
Mhm.
career pass game efficiency. He's in the top 50% in passing touchdowns per attempt, top 20% in fewest interceptions per attempt, and top 25% in QB rating, QB efficiency, and top 30 in yards per attempt.
Yeah.
So this dude pushes it. He
Yeah.
scores a lot. He don't make a lot of mistakes. And yet, you think the combination of him and Will Rogers is good for ninth in the SEC?
Yeah.
Unreal.
I do.
Unreal. You're still
I do.
wrong about
If
that.
if you wanna hear the reasoning, first off, subscribe, like, we appreciate the love as we get ready for football season,
Yep.
and then go watch yesterday's show as we broke down, or at least I educated T-Bob on the fact that first off, there's 14 quarterbacks in the SEC, not just 10, and
Not
the
really.
rating of said 14 quarterbacks.
So number 14, Graham Mertz. This is where Aaron was right. Somebody on Twitter linked a hilarious graphic from last season, and this must have been near the end of the year because it seems like a pretty small sample size or a pretty big sample size. But against AP ranked opponents, Graham Mertz has a total QBR of 38, completion percentage of 54,
Mm,
interception percentage of 5%, and a touchdown to interception ratio of 5-12, all of which rank dead last of all FBS quarterbacks. So
mm,
I think you were right on
mm.
Mertz. I think you were wrong on Rodgers. And I think if you really believe in Carson Beck that much, be a fucking man and put him in the top 3
I
and
should
stop
have. I should
pussyfooting
have.
around.
I should have.
Anyway, that's yesterday's episode.
Maybe if I got to
Let's
go to practice, I'd reassure me about seeing what he looked like
I
this year,
love
but
how salty you are about, hey man, Kirby doesn't like you, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You didn't play for Curb. But what
I
happened,
did
Bobo?
this year.
So are you finally going to be honest about Mike Bobo now?
What do you mean? No,
Y-
no, no.
That
I
that
said that with
that
I
he's a,
said
that
that
he
on I
that he's a
chatted with Bobo
retread
for a little bit
hire
today.
that's going to fall way short of Munkin and is going to fail you in
No,
the
no, no,
end.
no. Bobo about to light the world on fire. Don't sleep on Bobo.
That just sounds. Put that on the shirt. Print those shirts. Don't sleep on Bobo.
Don't sleep on Bobo.
Let's get our YouTube opening comment of the day. So as always, you comment on the videos, we'll find our favorite one and we'll have the show with it. Levy Gooey Dan 6410 says Aaron Murray is biased against Florida because he
Yeah.
played at UGA, to which Funkle 66 says everyone is biased against Florida because, well, it's Florida. Which is like, I mean, it's funny as like a joke that works independently any year, just because you could
Yep.
say that, whatever. But it's especially funny because Florida looks like they're going to be very shitty. Of course, Graham Mertz, Florida's quarterback. So
Mm,
there you go. Dovetails there. But you know what, Aaron? I don't want to talk bad teams. You know what I want to talk? Good
elite.
teams. Top 10 teams. We got our AP top 10. We got our coaches top
Robot
10.
top 10.
We got a Robot top 10 from yesterday. It's time for a Snaps top 10 football teams in the country. And I think we'll go 1 and 2. We both put together independent lists. We'll have to see where we agree and try to come to some sort of consensus. Aaron, can we agree that UGA and Michigan are 1-2?
Yes, and in that order too. UJ 1, Michigan 2. I know I've seen a lot of people say that Michigan's the better football team. Michigan could make a case to be 1. If it's as close it is, and you and I have discussed this, T, they're both really good teams. I think they are
Yeah.
clearly the best 2 teams in America heading to the season. If you want to, say it's a flip of a coin, okay, great. But you should also say who's the defending national champ. Who's
Yeah,
the
what are we talking
back-to-back?
about? I'm not going to rank Michigan. I'm not just going to
No,
give them
no,
the
I'm just
benefit
saying
of the
for
doubt
people that
magically
do
over
want to put
Georgia.
Michigan 1 because they think
Yeah.
that they're on the same footing. Good for you, but they're still not the defending champ. So regardless if Michigan's maybe um, very, very, very slightly better than Georgia. I mean, slight, which I don't believe, but some people do. You still don't rank them ahead of Georgia, the defending national champ.
No, I mean, it is kind of crazy though when you look at it. Michigan and Georgia are in really similar spots almost program wise. It's just that Georgia's gotten across the finish line, right? I mean, both back-to-back undefeated regular seasons. I guess Georgia ended up losing in that SEC championship, but that's still not
Yeah,
regular season.
yeah.
Um, both doing it in kind of a more old school way. And my point is falling apart as I speak out loud because the sole interesting thing I had to say, I have now lost, and I'll have to say it when it comes back
Yeah.
to me. I had another similarity. Oh,
I think, I think it's
both have super easy schedules
yeah,
again
they
this year.
do.
Like
Yes, they
both
do.
should cruise right through the regular season and end up back there once again. So Michigan UJ one two makes all the sense in the world.
Whoa. I'm not going to say cruise for Michigan. I know you're getting excited for me to say Georgia here, so we can get back into the Georgia schedule
Michigan's
debate.
pretty cruisy as well, brother.
It is, but they have two teams that are legitimate championship contenders, though. I mean, the Big Ten East is, you know, after the top three, obviously there's a pretty steep
I could
decline.
put Penn State and Tennessee in the same tier, though, essentially.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Ohio State's still a top four, top five team as
So
we kind of put
that's
on the
why
list.
they're 40th and Georgia's 45th in
Yes,
strength of schedule.
yes, yes. It's the one game.
Um, and
Where I mean, it depends.
honestly,
I mean, at the end of the day, too, it depends on two factors. One, how good does Tennessee play this year with Joe Milton at quarterback?
yep.
Determines how sexy of a game that's going to be at the end of the season. And then, I think Kentucky does have a good football team this year that could push for 9-10 wins and could make that game interesting. Like, I'm not going to
Well,
say that Kentucky's equivalent to Penn State, but I wouldn't say that Kentucky's significantly lower in what they're capable of doing compared to Penn State heading to the season either.
I will until Kentucky proves me wrong. I'll say this about uh, Michigan. God, I guess my brain's not working today. It had something to do with the comparison between. Don't forget the same way that Georgia beat the shit out of Tennessee last year, too. Michigan beat the shit out of Penn State. Like
Yeah,
Penn State's got to prove that they're actually close to Michigan because it definitely
yeah,
didn't
I
feel
agree.
like it last year. So kind
I
of
agree.
again similarity there between the
Yeah.
two big ones. All right, so UJ Michigan 1-2.
Yep.
Ohio State 3.
LSU.
Ooh, okay. So I didn't want to be. I,
If
hmm,
you and I talked about this months ago,
hmm.
you put LSU and Ohio State on a field today, neutral site. Who do you feel more confident is going to win the game? I think LSU is the better football team.
Ooh,
I think
the only thing
LSU.
that gives me hesitance is I would be shitting bricks about the Ohio State wide receivers against the LSU secondary as it stands right
Would you
now.
not be shitting bricks if you're Ohio State's defense going against LSU's offense, though?
Probably, yeah, probably with Malik and everybody, yeah.
It's a lesser of two evils here of or at least two shits. I would say I take LSU's defense over Ohio State's defense.
You know we're going to be accused of being homers if we put LSU and UJ in the top 3, only split up by Michigan.
I think people just assume it's Ohio State and the fact that they're probably going to go 11-1, which means that they're the better team than LSU. But LSU is the better football team. They just got the more difficult path to success.
That's probably right. I
But
mean, I do agree with you that Ohio State's just kind of there because it is kind of the benefit of the doubt club.
yes,
Um, LSU
do
3,
it.
Ohio State 4.
That's what I got. I'll let you make the final decision here because I don't want you to feel like you're a homer by putting LSU at 3. But I look, how I feel about LSU. I love LSU this year. I think LSU is a team that, unfortunately, because of the fact that they're going to have to play Georgia in the SEC championship game, you could find the same situation last year where not same situation, but 11-1 LSU loses to Georgia, 11-2 gets left
Yeah.
out, but they're still probably one of the best 4 teams in
I
America
mean,
this
look,
season.
LSU, despite the schedule, will be favored in every single game save for
Alabama.
Alabama. And
Yeah,
Ohio State will be favored for every single game save for Michigan.
Michigan.
So, okay, I could see it. Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback, LSU bringing everybody back.
It would actually favor LSU or Alabama to be 11-1, hope the other team's 12-0,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
do it and don't have to play
And not run
Georgia.
into Georgia. Yeah,
And not have to
you
play
might be
Georgia.
right.
Um,
You might be right about that. Although I do think in that scenario, I still think the team maybe would have to have 2 losses that would lose to Georgia only because
yeah,
it's hard to put a head-to-head.
or just say that Alabama loses somewhere else. Say Alabama loses to A&M.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For beating
That's what I'm
LSU.
saying. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Not obviously if you had 12-0 Alabama, they lose, they're still going to get in. Same with the
Yeah.
12-0 LSU. But if they dropped one along the way, I would rather be LSU than one sitting out watching 11-1, probably knowing that you're going to be in.
Agreed. Okay, you know what? I think you've talked me into it. And fuck it, we need to shake up this list somehow.
Yeah.
So I agree. I'll go LSU 3, Jaden Daniels, Brian Kelly. Let's fucking
Yeah.
ride, baby.
Who's a better head coach, Ryan Day or Ryan Day or Brian Kelly? I'm thinking Brian Kelly.
Well, right now, because both don't have the natty, right? They're both the best
Yeah,
coaches without a natty, and yeah, Brian Kelly's been at it longer, and I think he did it at a harder place, in my opinion,
yep.
doing it at Notre Dame. And then also, this does not take away from Ryan Day because again, when he showed up is when shit really started to blow up. But Ryan Day took over a friendlier spot in Ohio State, and Kelly took over a way worse spot at LSU 2 years ago. So okay, LSU 3. Ohio
Yep.
State 4, even though, so this is where it gets crazy because for me, the team that I almost want to rank next is Florida State.
Wow.
I just don't know if I can go that high. I mean, it has to be Alabama maybe at 5,
Yeah.
right?
Just because they do have the players and I think there is going to have that sneaky confidence slash major chip on the shoulder. Like we talk about, like Kirby having to make up some BS to get Georgia players excited to play
Yeah.
football, and there's no making anything up right now.
No.
Nick Saban has the perfect bulletin board material for this team, which is loaded for talent with talent to go out there and have success this year. So I do think because of the gap disparity between where Alabama is when it comes to that blue chip ratio to now this next group of teams from 5 to 10, like Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Michigan, like that gap of blue chip ratio is not much different. A little
No.
bit different, but not much. Where
No.
then I look at, like, there's certain positions that those other teams make me feel more comfortable putting them ahead. But now where Alabama is, even though we question their quarterback, maybe we question how elite the receivers are, there's still a major gap of talent between them and Florida State and
True.
USC and Clemson and everyone else when it comes to the way they've been able to recruit.
All right. So, okay, I agree with that. So Alabama at 5, and that makes all the sense in the world. It's whatever, like you said, they should overwhelm anybody with talent.
Yeah.
With talent. I like Florida State at 6.
I'll give it to you. I put
And
USC.
the reason, and maybe I
Go
know,
ahead.
but maybe I'm gaming the system a little bit here, and maybe this isn't truly in the spirit of a top 10, but it could just go back to something that we've kind of touched on in the past couple of weeks where the path in the ACC is pretty wide open.
Yep.
Whereas the Pac-12 is going to sit there and they're going to fuck themselves. I also think that if you put them on a field today, would you favor Florida State? I think I would
Over who?
over USC. I think Florida State's better on the lines. I don't think USC has anybody like Jared Verse coming off the edge for FSU. I was looking at their receiving core because I went down that Johnny Wilson rabbit hole, but then I realized, okay, they didn't just get Keon Coleman,
Yeah.
Michigan State's number 1 receiver, to come over. They also got what's his name? Hold on, I can get it here in a second.
Tight end for South Carolina.
Okay, no, yeah, they also got Jaheim Bell, the
Yeah.
do-it-all
With the
Renaissance
beam. Yep.
man who's an animal that they loved. But then they also got Winston Wright Jr., who you probably never heard of, but he's going to be their starting slot guy. He missed last year for injury, but he was West Virginia's number 1 receiver as a
Yeah.
sophomore 2 years ago. Had like 63 catches, 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. So they got a great receiving core. They're really solid on both lines. They return like the 5th most talent in the entire country. Not Jordan Travis is again the last 9 games of the year last year the highest QBR of any quarterback in the entire country. Like, no, this is the Florida State team that if you played today, you squared up with USC today, it would be a fucking game. But
Yeah.
I think I'd give the Seminoles the edge.
And I like Jordan Travis. It's hard for me when you have Caleb Williams in his 3rd year in this system with Lincoln Riley to think that he won't just overwhelm everyone himself, that he's not capable of just essentially taking over a game.
And
And
it's how
putting
it
a
felt
team on his
last year,
back.
though, and they weren't able to do that sometimes when
Yeah, but
people got up in
they
their
are.
shit.
I think we
Like
both
Utah
agree they're
out-toughed
better
them.
on
Florida
defense.
State could out-tough them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about shutting down. No, I'm talking about even shutting down Caleb Williams in that offense. Like,
Yeah.
I think that Florida State would have I think Florida State's got a pretty salty D.
I think they have a great defense. I think they have top 2 defense back in the ACC, them and Clemson this year. Majority of the starters back. Team that was phenomenal on that side of the football last year. So I'll give it to you, man. You talked me into it. I'll put Florida State at 6.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Do we have USC at 7 then?
Yeah. Let me see what I had written, but I'll take USC then. What did I do with my notes? Hold on, my bad.
Now, I know the
I got too many
Pac-12
windows open.
is
Get out of here,
daunting as
Jarvis
hell
Jones.
with Oregon and Washington and Utah and USC, and we'll see what UCLA looks like this year. But when you got Caleb Williams, as we've seen in NFL and in college, with you got a talent like that, you have a chance to win every single damn game. He's just that good. He's that talented. He's that creative. He's that much of a playmaker back at the quarterback position. And they still got incredible talent around him. They got running backs. They got an offensive line. I do think the defense is, like I talked about yesterday, is going to be a little bit better, which is all they really need in order to beat an 11-1 team fighting for a Pac-12 championship again this year. So um, I'm just a believer in him, man. He's a generational quarterback. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about it. Caleb Williams to me
we
is
know.
the best quarterback I've seen in the past decade.
All right, so yeah, USC 7. I'll agree with
Yep.
that. And I do believe that the defense is going to be markedly better, and I think they did a good job of adding talent there. And yeah, I think that's well, whatever. You know how I feel about Lincoln Riley if you've listened to the
Yep.
show. All right, so USC 7, and then I could go either or here. I have it as Clemson, but it's between Clemson and Penn State. And my logic is as follows. It almost just comes down to the head coach.
Yeah.
It's just that you could play a bit of gamesmanship with the ACC's easiest path again if you wanted to, but you have a head coach in Dabo that again, like Penn State's year last year is not a bad year. Uh,
No.
Clemson's was, and yet did they end up? What were they, same record, or was Clemson maybe one more loss than Penn State ended up with? Like, I guess my point is like
Clemson
Clemson
had three
operates.
losses.
They
Clemson
ended up
lost.
with
Well,
three,
they
right?
lost the bowl game. They
Yes,
both
but they
had
went 10
10-2
and 3.
records. Yes.
Okay. But they both had 10-2 regular seasons. My point is
Yep.
for Penn State, that's a really good year.
Yep.
And remains one. Now they want to get over one of the rival humps, but they're happy with that. Clemson fans are like, have we lost it at 10-2? So it shows you just the higher plane that Clemson's been operating on. I think Garrett Riley hire remains the hire of the offseason.
The difference is going to be which quarterback shows up.
Yeah, is Klubnik or Alar better? I agree.
Is
But
Klubnik or
but but
Lara.
I'm leaning Clemson because we've seen Dabo do it before.
Yeah, and then in I'm not sure how great Penn State is at the receiving position. I don't know how great Clemson is at the receiving position.
Yeah, true.
I know Penn State has a stable of young running backs that are extremely talented. I know Drew Alar has been someone that fans have been ready to take over for a long time. All the talent in the world, but a big unknown. Like I've talked about with Klubnik before, like he is an unknown, but at least he's played some football and you've seen a couple flashes here or there. I'm not sold on Klubnik. I don't think he's going to lead them to an ACC championship. I don't think he's going to lead them to a national championship. So I don't know if I necessarily believe in him, but I also don't know if I'm ready to clown Alar as a guy that could beat Michigan, that could beat Penn
I
State.
know. I agree.
But I think that one thing that we need to decide too as we make this ranking is, are we basing this on what conference you're in and your easiest path to success, or what caliber of a football team you actually are?
I think
Because
I think I
I'm
think
not
I
trying to
think
project here where you're going to end up at the beginning of the season.
I
What I'm trying to
agree.
project is like where you are heading the season, how good you are as a football team,
So
not
I
you have an easy path.
okay, so I agree, except I kind of functionally view Clemson and Penn State as like a 50-50 game. Penn State's not going to
Yeah,
enter
I
that game
agree.
as a heavy favorite, right? So at that point, then maybe you look into something like path and that could be kind of what ends up breaking that tie. It's kind of similar how I feel about Florida State and USC. I feel like that's a coin flip game as well in a lot of ways. So again, also like it was not that long ago when James Franklin had lost it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just there's a lot of belief in Penn State where you kind of look up and you're like, okay, what exactly have they done? We all call them national title contenders, but why? Because they did what Michigan and Ohio State did, what two other teams did by beating the shit out of the rest of Pac-10 or excuse me, Big Ten. But then they got the shit kicked out of them by both
Yeah.
Michigan and Ohio State. Ohio State maybe a tad closer than the
Yeah.
final
They were
score would
in the
indicate.
fourth quarter until
Yeah,
turnover
yeah,
happened.
until they
Yeah.
fucking weren't. They
Yeah.
blinked and they
They
were
were.
down 21. It was like crazy.
That should happen fast. I remember that. I
I
mean, it
mean,
happened real fast.
fast. I
I
was like a
think
pop, pop, pop. Next thing you know, you're like, "Was the fight over?"
I feel like I've been just a hater on Clemson, which I'm not trying to. Like, I respect their program. I respect what they've done. I mean, it is not easy, even if you have better talent, which makes it easier, to consistently go out there every single year and be the kings of the ACC. You know, say all you want about the ACC sucks. Say all you want about the talent disparity between Clemson and the rest of them. It's still not easy to do that year after year after year after year after year, and they've done that. So I do tip my cap off, my cap to what Deb has been able to create there.
Also,
But I just
Clemson
don't see it this year. I just
Clemson, if you want
really
to go
don't.
BCR, if you want to go pure BCR, which again, we're trying to find tiebreaker points here. So I wanted to look this up to make sure this is right. Clemson's pretty significantly higher. We're talking a 72% blue chip ratio for Clemson
That's
versus
pretty damn good.
55 for Penn State. Clemson, like I would love to see Clemson's front seven against that Penn State offensive line. Even after adjusting for transfers, it's 70 to 53. I think this got to be Clemson.
All right.
I think I'm like I feel more confident than I did when I made this list. Now that we've had this conversation,
Well, you want to know how I had the list? Just my last three. I had Penn State at 8,
yeah,
Texas at 9, Clemson
uh,
at 10.
I'm not putting my name on
I'm
a list
putting
with
fucking.
Texas in the
If
top 10.
I'll give you Clemson at 8, Penn State at 9, but we're putting
Fuck.
Texas at 10. We're putting Texas at 10.
Okay.
Texas
Okay.
is
Okay.
at
Okay.
10.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Who
The
would you put
same.
at 10?
No. 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 You're right. You're right. Because I was going to put Washington at 10, and I
Uh,
feel you. Yeah. Fuck you. Okay. Go Huskies. I hope they win the Pac-10, 12. Um.
Pac 4.
Relax. Just because you've been dancing on their corpse. Yeah, look, you know how like in the Olympics you have to throw out, don't you throw out like the highest judges score and the lowest judges score?
Mm,
I'm like the German judge and I'm just like fuck you Texas no matter what. So, yeah, I guess I can't really be trusted in this situation.
no. No.
So okay, I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah,
I feel like
Texas
that's
is
good
10.
middle ground.
Yeah.
Tell me why Texas is 10th in the country, Aaron.
You want to know why Texas is 10th in the country? Texas
Please.
actually should be ninth in the country according to my poll, but T-Bob and I, at least kept them inside the top 10.
Yeah, that's all I got to ask is that I can't have him higher than 10.
I mean, do I have to go through it again? Why they should be 10? I mean, it should be pretty
No,
easy.
you really don't.
Third
Uh,
year
wh-
Sark, second year quarterback,
Oh, okay, so
one of the most
third year
talented
Sark.
receivers.
Let's highlight. Let's look at Steve Sarkisian's records at school and see
Okay,
what he's
there we
done.
go.
And
At schools that didn't have the same kind of talent right now that Texas had.
okay, yeah, third year Sark, dude. At Washington, 5-7, 7-6. Third year, 7-6. Fourth
Nice.
year, 7-6. Fifth year,
Consistency.
8-4. Hell yeah!
No, it's the fifth
And then
year we're
they
waiting
gave him the
for.
USC job. What? Why? And you're like, oh, T-Bob, it's Washington. Let's see what Chris Peterson did at Washington,
Here
taking
we go.
over
Here we go.
from
Come on, give it
Sark.
to me.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. I think football record.
I fucking
Uh,
hope they ball out this year so we can end this Sark nonsense so badly.
oh, okay. Okay, so then Peterson takes over and he goes, let's see. He actually goes backwards. Okay. Okay, no, so my bad. Sark ended 9-4 with a bowl game.
There you
Then
go.
Peterson went 8-5, 7-6. Then he went 12-2 in year three, because that's how year threes work. 10-3, 10-4. Oh, and then what did Kalen DeBoer do in year one? He went from 4-8 to 11-2. Why couldn't Sark have done that? Huh. I don't know.
Uh,
It's odd.
uh, I don't know. It's his time,
Um,
baby. It's his third stop. Washington, USC, now Texas. Third time's the charm for him. Let's go,
yeah,
Sark.
third year, third time. You better hope so.
Third
What
time.
did he do his third year at
Bad conference.
Oh, he didn't get
Uh,
a third year at USC because well, I don't know, whatever. I don't want to
we
make
don't
fun
need to
of
get into
that.
that.
That's
We don't
fine.
need to get into that. We never had this
Okay, yeah. So Sark, yes. Top 10 in the country. Your Texas
top 10
Longhorns.
by
Oh,
the way.
maybe like Quinn Ewers has some good numbers or something we could look up.
He's a fucking freshman last year. Give him a break. Jeez.
No,
Golly.
I'm just curious. Let's see, 58% completion. Okay. Okay, these actually aren't terrible numbers. I know I sound like an asshole, but like
You do sound like an asshole.
15 touchdowns to 6 picks is good. 7.4 yards per attempt would not be good for this year, but it could be like that's a good freshman number to build on.
Dude,
217 per
they
game.
had one. I know they had Bijan, but I mean they had Xavier Worthy. Jordan Whittington's okay. He's okay. He's not super electric. They have four deep of legitimate
Xavier Worthy's
receivers.
pretty fucking good.
I know, so I'm saying that there was a one man band of top tier receiver talent though last year. Now they have four legitimate number one receivers.
Well, okay. You've convinced me. Texas 10th. Actually, I want him in there. So when they fail, it's just
Then you're
further.
dropped.
Yeah, it's just further juice, gas for my point. All right, there it is. Your snaps top 10. This is Snaps official. I actually love this list, Aaron. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I feel like we fucking nailed it. It's from 10 to 1. 10th, Texas. 9th, Penn State. 8th, Clemson. 7th, USC. 6th, Florida State. 5th, Alabama. 4th, Ohio State. 3rd, LSU. 2, Michigan. And number 1, those damn dirty dogs, the red and black. Georgia. All right, let's roll through some other topics here at the end. Aaron, Peyton Thorne named the starter at Auburn at SC Media Days. We talked about this, and you were like, "Not so fast." You Lee Corso'd me, and well,
Not so
there you
fast.
go. Peyton
Yeah.
Thorne named starter.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he was brought in for a reason. People were not um, too enthralled with Robbie Ashford. Obviously, I still think Robbie's going
Robbie
to play.
Ashford.
Robbie Ashford. I just want to be able to say that name or let you say that name throughout the season.
I agree.
Robbie's too athletic not to get in there somehow. It's still I'm interested to see what this offense looks like. Still, obviously, we know.
I'm interested to see what Auburn looks like.
Yeah, because they
Just in
got the
general.
talent. I mean, we talk about
Yeah.
this blue chip ratio all the time. Like they're over that 50%. Like Auburn has talent. And there's always weird things that happen the year where they get Georgia and Alabama at home. Just kooky stuff. Kooky. They got the fan buy-in. They have probably the best coach that I believe in the past, maybe even decade right now there at Auburn.
Yeah,
It's going to come
easily.
down to receiver play, which they feel like they've upgraded there. And
Future
it's come
Senator
down to
Hugh
can
Freeze.
Payne Thorne play like he did 2 years ago, not like he did last year.
Which again, he's in an infinitely better spot. And I know Mel Tucker's not like in the quarterback room with him, but he is in an infinitely better spot with Hugh Freeze being the one guiding him as opposed to a Mel Tucker led team.
Yeah, but he's also in a much the toughest division in all of college football too. But he's
Yeah.
got nice easy start to the season. I mean, they got UMass week 1, California week 2, and then Sanford week 3 before they go on an absolutely hellacious fucking run at A&M, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. I mean, buckle up. I mean, if Auburn can win 2 of those games, I'll be surprised. If you
Yeah.
win 2 of them, you better be ecstatic. If you're 5-2 heading into Mississippi State, you should be jumping up, for joy if you're a Tiger fan.
Yeah, that's one of the worst runs of any in the entire country. I'm trying to remember which other one. I was thinking of a Pac-12 team. Oh, fucking
God,
is it Washington that doesn't? Washington has USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State to end the season. That's pretty brutal.
I don't know.
But that's going to be a lot of the Pac-12.
This one is because you get Georgia at home, but the number one team in the nation, and
You ain't
you
beating
split that
Georgia.
between
Sorry.
2 of the hardest places to play in the SEC, A&M and LSU.
Yeah. But Peyton Thorne going to be that guy. And again, I think with packages for Robbie Ashford, I think he does have a place in trying to win you football games. Aaron, I unfortunately do not live. I live in Baton Rouge. I don't live in a big enough city for us to have a Gran Turismo premiere, which means I didn't get to go to the premiere. And then I was supposed to get sent a screener. They ran out of screeners. I didn't get to see Jaimin Hansu star in Gran Turismo. You did. You did the
What are
full
you doing?
screener in theaters. It's in theaters everywhere. Coming up August 25th. So it's going to be next weekend. Cranking up. For those who don't know, we talked to the preview of the show before, but it is a movie where a guy who plays like F1 video games, because is it F1 becomes a real driver. Well, you tell me, Aaron, you've seen the movie. What'd you think about it?
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was extremely well done. I mean,
And
even
you
my
mean this legitimately,
I
right?
know I mean this 100% legitimate. As soon as I walked out of the theater, I texted our group chat because you were talking about Oppenheimer, because I think you saw Oppenheimer the same night that I saw
Yeah.
Gran Turismo. And I get out
Yes.
there and there's a million
Dude, Cinema
text messages from T-Bob about Oppenheimer. I'm like, boys, sorry to interrupt, T-Bob waxing poetic about Oppenheimer, but Gran Turismo was freaking good, like really, really good, like good. Where like my wife, it's not even like the type of movie my wife likes, and she's like, "Wow, I would watch that again."
Hell
I
yeah,
thought the
though.
action was great. I thought the storyline was great. You kind of go into that thing and like, could it be cheesy? Could it not be cheesy? Was not cheesy in one bit. And I always rank movies in the sense of, if I'm on a plane, would I watch it again? And this goes into that category of, I would 100% watch Gran
That
Turismo again.
is
I thought it was, and I don't know if it's because I'm now all of a sudden over the past year extremely fascinated with like Formula One because of the
yeah.
Netflix series.
Yeah, Drive to
So I
Survive,
think
yeah.
that heightened my excitement even more because I have taken a little bit more interest into this whole racing world. Um, so kind of I'm been kind of sipping that Kool Aid a little bit. So this definitely was enjoyable for me to sit down and watch for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so the story is, and it's a true story, but,
Yep,
a
it's
kid
crazy.
who plays, like, the simulators, like, plays the video games, ends up getting a real shot at it, becomes a real driver. In fact, the real life driver ended up doing all the stunt driving for the
Mhm.
show, and look, to be clear, it is a little it does make a little more sense. This is not playing Madden, okay? Like, racing simulators are really close to the real
Well, the
thing,
way they
like, you can
designed it is incredible. Like they literally
so
the
you learn
designer of
about
the
all
Gran
this in the
Turismo,
movie.
yeah, they did the designer of the whole Gran Turismo, like they brought in cars and all these cameras and whatever else goes in behind the scenes to make it as real as possible. Obviously, there is the difference to me is the life and death situation.
I fucking knew it. That's what David Harbour yells about the entire trailer.
Which is
So
fucking
he
true.
coached you up.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're driving it and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go take this turn, a little faster than what I would in real life," like, you're gonna take it because, like he says, if you crash, who gives a shit? Well, you crash in real fucking life, you could die.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You could fucking die. Like, so, like, yeah, there is a sense of, you got big balls doing a simulator. How big are your balls when you know your life could actually be on the fucking line? Like,
No,
that
straight
is
up.
100%.
It's one thing to yes, absolutely. It's one thing to do it on a screen versus real life for sure. I get where David's coming from.
Yeah.
Brum, is that a good metric from Aaron that a movie's like good if you'll rewatch it on a plane? Because to me, a plane movie is like, okay, I don't care about the visual fidelity, so I'll
I
watch
mean,
this
just
movie
in
that I've been
general.
wanting
I
to
mean,
watch
just in
for a
general.
while.
Like, if I'll watch it for a second time, that's when I decide if it's good.
Fair. Actually, you know what? That's yeah, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
True. True. All right. Gran Turismo coming out next weekend. I
Mm.
guess I'll have to line up with all the other plebes and go watch it on my own dime. I'm excited. Sounds like a good PLF. Sounds like a theater worthy movie though. So I'm actually kind of glad I didn't
Yeah.
see it on television because when a movie has like big action or nice set pieces, like I want to see that on the biggest
I
screen.
wanna see Oppenheimer on IMAX. I'm, like, kinda wanting to go back and rewatch that again.
Yeah, you should. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for today's snaps. And huge shout out to Gran Turismo. Go check it out. August 24th, theaters only. Okay, exclusively. Um, YouTube.com/@ volume snaps is the YouTube channel. We're trying to make a hard push there, guys. So if you're listening and you want to help out the boys because you like the show, an easy way to do that is just go to that channel, like it, subscribe to it, text your friends about it, berate your mother-in-law about it, send your
Mhm.
father-in-law messages at 2 a.m. after you get done copulating with his daughter, telling him that there's a great college football podcast he should listen to. You can also just Google Snaps Podcast and find on Apple, Spotify. We're almost at 100 reviews on Apple. I looked today, we're at like 84. So let's go. Let's crank that to a hundo. That'd be great, y'all. And yeah, a huge thank you as always to Ryan Brumley, who you now have to see on the show, which I love, as well as Pat Gunther, Adam Gracia, Chris Tran, Danny Cardenas. Huge thank you to Papa Colin the Volume for having us here. Huge thank you to you, Aaron Murray. But the biggest of all thank yous to everybody who listens and does share it with their friends and interacts with us every day. We love you, and this is why we do the show. So thank you. Also, everybody should play Baldur's Gate 3. I wish I could had the time or set up to stream it, but it's awesome. It's very fun. If you're a nerd and you like RPGs. That'll do it. We'll see you Monday for a brand new episode. Wait, hold on. Let's do a little tease for next week. What do we got in the hopper? We're going to line up with EJ Manuel. We're going to line up with Brandon Walker. We are, yeah, what are we doing, bro? Yes, we're doing
Predictions,
all Power
predictions.
5 conferences, right? Predicting
Yeah.
over-unders for the big boys, maybe, like, where they're gonna finish. So, yeah, it's almost here, guys. The long dark of the offseason is almost over. So, another fun week coming up on Snaps. We love you. Mwah. Hope you all have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.